My mother grew up in rural Missouri in the early 1970s. It was the kind of place where everybody knew everybody. Church on Sunday wasn't optional, and news traveled faster than the mail. She told me this story when I was old enough to hear it. Even now, decades later, she still gets quiet whenever she talks about the Bancrofts. The Bancroft family were one of the most well-known families in the area, not just because there were 16 of them living under one roof, but because of the father. Reverend Bancroft was famous enough that people drove from neighboring counties just to attend his services. He had a reputation for casting out demons. According to the stories, people would arrive shaking, screaming, speaking strangely, and after the Reverend laid hands on them, they'd leave calm and composed. My mother was a child then. She believed every word of it. Most people did.
Thad was the 9th-born child. My mother didn't know him well, but in a small community, you know everyone, at least a little. Even as a teenager, Thad stood out from the rest of his family. While his brothers and sisters were obedient and quiet, Thad questioned everything. Not small questions either, the kind that made adults uncomfortable. Questions about faith, science, and whether possession was real at all. One afternoon, my mother asked him about the people his father supposedly delivered from demons. She expected some mysterious answer. Instead, Thad laughed. "They're just people putting on a show," he told her. He said it so casually that it shocked her. According to my mother, that attitude caused constant conflict in the Bancroft household. Thad wasn't interested in becoming a preacher. He wanted books. He wanted universities. He talked about Aristotle, philosophy, metaphysics, and scientific theories nobody else in town had heard of. In rural Missouri during the early 1970s, that alone was enough to make people think he was strange. His father thought it was rebellion. The punishment was harsh: whippings, isolation, and long stretches spent alone in the barn. Yet nothing seemed to change his mind. As the years passed, people began noticing changes in him. One Sunday, he missed the church reading he normally performed. The following week, he didn't show up at all, and before long, entire months would pass without anyone seeing him. When he did appear, something seemed different. My mother struggled to describe it. He didn't look sick or injured, just distant, like he was always listening to something nobody else could hear. Then came November 7th, 1972. My mother woke up to the news the way everyone did. A phone call here, a knock at the door there, and a rumor that became fact before breakfast. The Bancrofts were dead. All 15 of them. Everyone except Thad. Authorities believed the family had died while sleeping, but something about the scene disturbed even the investigators. The condition of the bodies didn't seem to match the timeline. According to the autopsy, they had been dead only a few days, yet witnesses claimed they appeared far more deteriorated than they should have been. An unidentified toxic substance was reportedly found during the investigation. Whatever it was, officials never publicly provided a clear explanation. The community was devastated. For weeks, people spoke in whispers. Some suspected Thad, others defended him. No charges were ever filed. No official conclusion was ever reached. The case slowly went cold. After the funerals, nobody saw Thad. At first, people assumed he was grieving. Then they assumed he had fled. But strange reports continued. Neighbors swore lights appeared in the Bancroft house late at night. Others claimed they heard movement inside. No one was willing to investigate.
The house had become something people avoided. Eventually, several relatives decided to check on the property. When they entered, the house was empty. Dust covered the furniture, the bedrooms were vacant, and no food sat in the kitchen. There was no sign anyone had been living there. Then, they found the basement. My mother's voice always changes when she reaches this part. She says the relatives discovered writing covering nearly every wall, lines of text, symbols, strange diagrams. Some people claimed parts of it were Latin. Others said the markings resembled Masonic symbols. No one seemed able to make sense of it. And in the center of the room sat a wooden table. On top of it rested Thad's head. No body, no blood, just his head, sitting alone on the dark wood. The authorities searched the property extensively. The rest of his remains were never recovered. People in that community eventually settled on their own explanation. They believed the demons Reverend Bancroft had cast out over the years had finally returned, that they had used Thad to destroy the family, and when they were finished with him, they took him too. My mother never says whether she believes that. She only tells the story. But every time she reaches the end, she comes back to the same question, the one nobody ever answered. If Thad killed the Bancrofts and later took his own life in that basement, who put his head on the table?